Chosen one. Pause for a moment. Before you scroll. Before you doubt why this found you. Before your mind tries to explain this away. Because something in you already knows. You have felt it, haven't you? That pressure. That restlessness. That strange mix of excitement and unease that you can't quite name. It's not anxiety. It's not confusion. And it's definitely not coincidence. It's activation pressure. And today, God sent this message because the power He hid inside you is no longer willing to stay dormant. Chosen one, let me say something clearly. God did not hide your power because He doubted you. He hid it because the world wasn't ready for it. Some powers cannot be revealed early without being destroyed. Some anointings cannot be announced without being attacked. Some callings cannot be exposed until the carrier is strong enough to survive the resistance. You weren't delayed. You were protected. That's why your life may have felt slower than others. Why your growth seemed quiet. Why your talents didn't explode early the way you expected. God was not withholding. He was incubating. Like a seed buried in darkness, not because it's dead, but because roots must grow before fruit appears. Chosen one, listen carefully. Because what you're experiencing right now is not random, and it is not emotional instability. It is awakening pressure. When God keeps a power hidden, life feels muted. But when that power begins to wake up, everything starts to shift internally first. Before the world changes around you, you change within. And that's where the confusion often begins. Things that once felt fine now feel tight. Conversations you used to tolerate suddenly drain you. Environments you once fit into now feel too small. Even routines you prayed for now feel restrictive. Chosen one, that's not ingratitude. That's outgrowing. Comfort becomes uncomfortable when your spirit expands beyond it. And right now, your spirit is expanding rapidly. God is stretching you internally before He moves you externally. You feel restless, but not lost. Unsettled, but not confused. You might sit still, yet feel like something inside you is pacing. That's because what's in you wants motion. Hidden power stays quiet for years, but when it awakens, it demands expression. You're not bored with life. You're bored with limitation. And your spirit knows it. Notice this carefully. You're not forcing yourself to change. You're not trying to be different. You just are. Things you once chased don't excite you anymore. Approval feels unnecessary. Validation feels hollow. Drama feels exhausting. Chosen one, this isn't maturity alone. This is detachment before ascension. God is loosening your grip on what cannot follow you where you're going. You didn't plan to pull back. You didn't decide to disappear. It just happened. People drifted. Connections faded. Invitations slowed. And instead of panic, there was a strange peace underneath the loneliness. That's because isolation at this stage is not punishment. It's preparation. God is protecting the awakening from interference. Some people would have tried to explain it away. Some would have projected fear onto it. Some would have delayed your obedience. So God gave you silence instead. You feel things more intensely now. Music hits deeper. Words carry weight. Truth resonates instantly. But here's the difference. You're not overwhelmed. You're aware. Awakening doesn't make you unstable. It makes you sensitive to alignment. You can tell when something is off. You can sense when someone isn't genuine. You can feel when a decision doesn't sit right in your spirit. That's discernment activating. This is crucial. You feel pulled, but not fully informed. Drawn, but not fully shown. And that frustrates the logical mind. But God never reveals the entire path at once when power is awakening. Why? Because movement must come from trust, not control. The next step only reveals itself after obedience. Silence used to be peaceful. Now it feels loaded. Not anxious, but charged. Like something is waiting for you to act. Chosen one, that's because heaven is responding to readiness. Stillness served you when you were being shaped. But now, stillness without movement creates pressure. Because the power is awake. And power was never meant to stay still. You look back at who you were, even months ago, and think, I don't recognize that version of me anymore. Not with judgment. Not with regret. Just awareness. That's because the awakening creates identity shedding. You're not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you've always been, before fear taught you to shrink. Messages like this keep finding you. Words land too accurately to ignore. Timing feels intentional. And deep down you know, this isn't coincidence. This is synchronization. God doesn't shout during awakening. He confirms repeatedly until doubt loses its grip. Not panic. Not pressure from people. A calm, steady urgency. A knowing that says, if I don't move soon, something will feel wrong. That's because awakening power has a window. Not a deadline, but a season. And this season is now. Chosen one. If you recognize yourself in these signs, let this settle in your spirit. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is breaking down. Nothing is being lost. Something is waking up. And in the next chapter, I'm going to explain why this power can no longer stay hidden, and what God expects from you next. Stay with me. Here's the truth most people never hear. Power that stays still too long becomes painful. You were not designed to carry this level of spiritual energy and remain stagnant. The frustration you feel is not punishment. It's pressure to obey. The discomfort is not failure. It's a signal. God is saying, what I placed in you has outgrown where you are. You can no longer think small. You can no longer shrink to survive rooms you've outgrown. You can no longer pretend you're unsure when you know. Movement doesn't always mean location. Sometimes it means decision. Sometimes it means obedience. Sometimes it means letting go. But one thing is clear. Stillness is no longer an option. Chosen one, let's talk honestly for a moment. That fear you've been feeling lately. The one you haven't told many people about. The one that rises right before you're about to take a step. You've been wondering if it means stop. But what if it actually means go? Because not all fear is a warning. Some fear is a signal of proximity. It appears when you're standing close to something that will permanently change your life. Here's something most people never realize. Fear often arrives right before an old version of you loses authority. Your mind is wired to protect familiarity. Even when familiarity is limiting. Even when it's painful. So when God calls you towards something greater, your mind interprets expansion as threat. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's unknown. Fear isn't saying, you can't do this. It's saying, you've never done this before. And there's a huge difference. Chosen one, listen closely. If this path wasn't real, if this calling wasn't genuine, if this movement wasn't ordained, you wouldn't feel this level of internal resistance. Small paths don't scare big spirits. Comfortable lives don't trigger existential fear. Safe choices don't shake your identity. Fear appears when your life is about to expand beyond its previous limits. That's not danger. That's confirmation. This part confuses a lot of people. You can feel fear and still feel peace underneath it. You can be scared and still know you're being guided. Peace lives in the spirit. Fear lives in the mind. And right now your spirit is calm, but your mind is scrambling to catch up. That's why deep down, even while afraid, you still feel, I know this is right. That inner knowing is louder than the fear. Chosen one, readiness does not come before movement. Readiness comes because of movement. God doesn't wait until you feel fearless. He waits until you're willing. Willing to trust without full clarity. Willing to step forward without guarantees. Willing to obey without applause. Fear fades after obedience, not before. This is important. Fear itself is not the enemy. The enemy's strategy is to convince you that fear means stop. But fear never stopped David from facing Goliath. It didn't stop Moses from approaching Pharaoh. It didn't stop Esther from walking into the king's chamber. They felt fear. But they moved anyway. And movement broke fear's authority. You're not afraid because something bad is coming. You're afraid because something irreversible is coming. Once you move, you can't pretend you didn't know. You can't unsee the truth. You can't return to who you were. Fear rises when the soul realizes. There's no going back after this. And that's exactly why this moment matters. Chosen one, fear is not here to block you. It's here to test your trust. Every major spiritual upgrade comes with a gate. And fear guards that gate, not to stop you, but to see if you'll walk through anyway. If you wait for fear to disappear, you'll stay standing at the gate forever. But the moment you step forward, fear loses its voice. Don't fight it. Don't analyze it. Don't shame yourself for feeling it. Just ask one question. Is this fear trying to protect my comfort? Or is it trying to prevent my calling? Then move anyway. Chosen one. The fear you feel right now is not a warning sign. It's a confirmation marker. It means you're standing at the edge of something real. Something powerful. Something meant for you. Don't turn back now. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's obedience in its presence. And in the next chapter, I'm going to explain why God isolated you before this moment, and how that isolation prepared you to move without permission. Chosen one, there's a reason you couldn't take everyone with you. Some people would have talked you out of obedience. Some would have misunderstood your silence. Some would have tried to control what God was activating. Isolation was not abandonment. It was training. God needed your ears clear, your spirit sharp, your identity unshaken. So when the movement came, you wouldn't need permission. This is important. Movement does not mean everything becomes easy, but it does mean everything becomes aligned. When you move, resistance reveals itself. But so does provision. You will notice help appearing unexpectedly, ideas flowing without effort, strength rising when you should be tired. That's because obedience unlocks support. Heaven moves when you do. Chosen one, I won't sugarcoat this. Ignoring divine movement doesn't make the calling disappear. It makes the pressure louder. Stagnation will start to feel heavy. Joy will feel muted. Peace will feel distant. Not because God is angry, but because your spirit refuses to settle for less than purpose. You weren't made to survive. You were made to advance. Chosen one, take a breath with me. Not a rushed breath. Not a distracted one. A deep breath. Because what I'm about to say isn't motivation. It's recognition. You didn't arrive at this moment by accident. And you didn't survive what you survived for nothing. Everything you endured. Every delay, every misunderstanding, every silent season was not meant to break you. It was meant to position you. Before you ever felt ready. Before you even had language for what you carry. This moment was already being prepared. God was shaping your discernment when others were distracted. Strengthening your intuition when others were rushing. Teaching you restraint when others were chasing attention. That's why your journey looked different. That's why you couldn't rush the process. This activation requires depth, not speed. Chosen one, hear this clearly. You are not behind. You are not catching up. You are not starting over. You are arriving exactly on time. God doesn't release power according to human clocks. He releases it according to readiness. And readiness is not about perfection. It's about surrender. There was a time when the power in you was quiet, protected, hidden beneath survival. But that time is over. What's waking up now is not fragile. It's seasoned. It's steady. It knows who it is. That's why it's demanding movement. Not force. Not panic. Movement. Aligned movement. Let go of the idea that clarity comes first. It doesn't. Clarity follows obedience. You don't need the full map. You only need the next step. And you already know what that is. You've known it for a while. You just needed confirmation that you weren't imagining it. You're not. Chosen one, this activation is not asking you to change who you are. It's asking you to stop hiding who you've always been. The parts of you that felt too much were never the problem. The depth, the insight, the sensitivity, the intensity. Those were never flaws. They were signals. You were built to carry more. This is important. The season of being watched without support is ending. The season of carrying weight alone is lifting. Help will meet you in motion. Strength will rise as you step forward. You don't need to announce this move. You don't need approval. You just need obedience. Chosen one, if you're able, whisper this, or say it out loud. I trust the movement in my spirit. I release fear. I accept the timing. I move with God. Let those words settle. This is not a declaration to impress anyone. It's alignment. One step will lead to the next. One act of obedience will unlock another door. One decision will clarify what once felt confusing. God does not guide stillness forever. He guides movement. Even when it felt quiet. Even when it felt empty. Even when it felt heavy. You were being strengthened. That's why you're still here. That's why you didn't quit. That's why this message found you. Chosen one. This is your moment, not because everything is perfect, but because you are ready. The power God hid in you has matured. And now, it's time to move. If this activation resonated with you, type, I am moving, in the comments. Not for validation, for commitment. Like this message so it reaches another chosen one standing at the edge of obedience. Subscribe if you're ready to walk this path with clarity and strength. Because this channel is not noise. It's alignment. And if you're still here, you already know what to do next. Move. If this message spoke to you, don't ignore it. Type, I am moving, in the comments, not for me, but for yourself. Like this video so it reaches another chosen one standing at the edge of obedience. And subscribe, because this channel is not entertainment. It's activation. And if you're still here listening, then you already know. It's time. Chosen one, before you go, I want to speak to the givers, the ones whose hearts feel called to pour back into the vessel that pours into them. If this message awakened you, if it strengthened you, if it spoke to your spirit in a way only heaven could orchestrate, then I invite you, only if your heart feels led, to sow a $1 seed into this channel. Not because God needs it, but because giving is a spiritual law. A small seed carries big obedience. And God multiplies what is given with pure intention. Your $1 keeps this ministry alive, keeps the messages flowing, and helps this word reach the next chosen one who needs it. If you feel that nudge in your spirit, if you feel that gentle pull, you can plant your $1 seed using the link in the description. And if you can't or don't feel led, you are still loved, still seen, and still covered. Blessings to every giver, and blessings to every listener. Your seed moves heaven in ways you may never see. But God sees it all.